Well, hey! So here's the deal. Not long ago, I started a series of abstract artwork where I created pieces using bright colors on black paper. For those of you not familiar with me, my name is Brian. I live in Vietnam, and I'm an artist. Here at my channel, I create videos where I share my life as an expat and also my process as an artist. The main focus of my art for the last couple years has been a series that I call Permutations, where I explore the same shape over and over again. And within that series, I create smaller series that I call mini-series, where there are pieces that are all related. I recently created 2 videos where I created these pieces that I was talking about, and if you want, you could see them in the links below. But basically, I worked in my studio over several days and created 6 pieces, 3 of each on 2 different types of paper. I used the Fabriano black drawing paper and the Strathmore black mixed media paper. The pieces that I created were all using similar colors and types of materials, and so I thought it was a good control experiment to do a compare and contrast between the 2 types of paper. So I decided to make a video, and so here it is, a pitched battle between 2 types of paper. Let's get into it. The Fabriano packaging has a glossy black text on matte black paper that just looks cool. I have to admit, I bought it based on the packaging alone. It's a very clean and modern look. One thing I think they've done that is pretty smart is that on the binding, which people might see while shopping, the text is fully white on black and clearly legible. Strathmore doesn't have anything on its binding. So thinking about this further, I bought both of these papers in Asia, and I've done most of my shopping recently in Asian stores, which tend to be kind of tiny, like little rooms, and so they don't have the same amount of room as an American store. In Asia, all the paper is like just stacked very like books. And I remember shopping in the United States at a Blick store, like you'd have a wall of paper facing outward so you could see the front cover. So it's very different in terms of like merchandising. So I think that's why they're so different. You know, that's just a theory though. One other thing I'll mention about the packaging is that the Strathmore paper features this illustration by UK artist Minnie Small, who I happen to follow on YouTube. I did a quick search and I found that she also has done a demo video of the Strathmore paper, and I'll include a link to that video in the description as well. So anyway, for packaging, I'm gonna give the win to Fabriano, but for the category of supports artists, I'm giving it to Strathmore. Both types of paper indicate that they are 300 grams per square meter, but a side-by-side comparison shows that the Strathmore is a bit thicker. You can even feel a slight difference between your fingers. The Strathmore just feels sturdier. And I couldn't tell for sure visually comparing single sheets, so I compared 2 stacks of 5, and it looked like the Strathmore was about 20% thicker. So for thickness, Strathmore wins. At a glance, it's evident that the Fabriano paper is just blacker. The Strathmore reads a little grayer, and if you look at my finished pieces, you could just see that the contrast between the paper and the pigments is greater with the Fabriano paper. So in the category of black density, Fabriano wins. Touching on packaging again just briefly, I want to point out that the texture of the packaging of the Strathmore paper is really bumpy, which might be misleading, but it's consistent with all of their packaging. If you're not a regular customer of Strathmore, you might not know that, so be aware that the packaging texture is not indicative of the product itself. It says on the packaging that it is vellum surface, but not everyone knows what that means, and honestly, when I think of vellum, I think of ultra smooth, and this paper isn't really ultra smooth. The Fabriano paper is smoother than the Strathmore, and I think that contributes to the blackness of it, because when you have a rougher surface, light reflects in different ways, and it sort of like can't be as black. And I'm not sure about that. I'm not like a physicist or like Dazzler. But for the category of smoothness, there's not really a winner or loser because it all depends on your project. The Fabriano is smoother, and the Strathmore, while relatively smooth, still has some tooth. So it will grab your pastels or your colored pencils nicely. Strathmore does say mixed media on its packaging, while Fabriano says drawing, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised that one holds wet media better. For a long time, I've relied on the idea that when I see 300 G per M squared, that it was reasonably safe to use wet media. But in this case, that is not really true, and that's a good lesson to learn. while using wet media, the Fabriano paper was just starting to bubble. Unfortunately, the bubbling doesn't show on the front of the pieces, but you could see little bubbles have formed and are visible on the back sides, and I'm concerned that the condition could worsen over time. These pieces are now about 6 months old, and it hasn't noticeably changed, but longevity is something that you should really always consider. At the same time, from everything I've seen about works on paper, they just fetch a lower price just in the art market because paper is inherently more ephemeral. It breaks down over time. It doesn't have the same longevity. So I think a collector is going to take that into consideration when they're purchasing a work. They'll know that by nature of being paper that there's a chance that it could be, delicate. But what do you guys think? Do you think if you're making a piece and it has little bubbles on the back side of it, that it means you should never try and sell it because it's not of the quality that a collector would expect? Or do you think it's okay because paper is inherently, not great? This is a little off topic, but I'm just curious. So if you have thoughts about that, leave it in the comments below. So again, in terms of wet media, it's not a winner or loser situation. The Strathmore is clearly better suited for wet media, but the Fabriano is better suited for dry. We could say which is more versatile though, which means that the Strathmore wins for versatility. Next, I did a little scratch test to see how delicate the surface of each paper is. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the Fabriano showed more scratches than the Strathmore. I think this is at least in part due to the fact that the Fabriano is inherently darker. The contrast of the lighter mark when I do a little scratch will show more prominently on darker paper. On a perfect angle, you could see the scratch from my fingernail on Strathmore paper, but it's very faint. The winner for surface durability is Strathmore. I wanted to talk about pricing, but I have to acknowledge that depending on where you live, pricing is going to vary. Since I'm from the US, I just decided to use Amazon as a basis for my pricing, but it's going to vary depending on where you live in the world. On Amazon, I found 15 sheets of 9-inch by 12-inch Strathmore, priced from $622 USD to $1317. I could not even find the 21 by 29.7 centimeter size of Fabriano, a paper that I've been using on Amazon. I found a pad of 20 sheets of 8-inch by 8-inch that is available for $13.66 USD. And I found 20 sheets of 9.5 inch by 12.5 inch for a whopping $18.40. Now, it should be noted that Strathmore is made in the USA while Fabriano is made in Italy, so at least a bit of the price difference has to do with import taxes and whatever, stuff like that. Okay, so let's sum up. But first I want to say there's no winner or loser really. It's just what's best suited for your project. Each paper has strengths and weaknesses that make it better suited for different types of projects. For packaging, Fabriano gets the win. For thickness, Strathmore is thicker. For black density, Fabriano takes it. For price, Strathmore wins, but only in the US. Fabriano has an ultra smooth surface, while Strathmore has a medium smooth surface. For versatility, Strathmore gets the point. You can safely use wet media with only minor warping, and dry media looks great on it, while Fabriano paper is only suitable for dry media, making it less versatile. Strathmore gets a bonus point for supporting artists. Now Fabriano may be supporting artists in ways that I don't know. I only have 2 data points. So if that's the case, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know. So in some ways it seems like Strathmore wins, but really, again, it comes down to your project. Strathmore is more versatile. It's pretty cheap if you live in the United States. But Fabriano is going to be great if you know your project isn't going to require any wet media like paint, like pencil, colored pencil, pastel, paint marker, gel pen. This paper is going to be great. You're going to have a really black background, so Fabriano wins for that. I hope you found this video useful for the next time you're selecting paper. If you have, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss another video. I really want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.